wall in between. It's like they're alternate.
We'll figure it out.
That was probably the worst sick as I've been in 30 years. I don't know why. I don't know why.
Second shot or first shot? First one in mind.
I had a sore arm.
You didn't sound good to talk to you.
I wasn't having a good day.
Gives the people here right now quite sick.
I almost went to the hospital. Never do it. Give you something. Potassium. They give you some pain pills. I have some. Yeah, I was in there, so.
one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty, justice for all. Okay, we're going to go on to item 2, public budget hearing. Subject day presentation of the 21-22 proposed budget. Andrew Court and Francis Riley.
Okay, good evening, everybody. So we're going to do our public hearing for the 21-22 budget. Some of the things we've seen before, we're going to go over the tax cap, how the tax cap was created. So walking through this one last time for everybody, we used the prior year tax levy. Even though that we went out last year, the voters approved 8.492 million. There was the tax error in the bill in the way that we billed, so that we only actually levied $8,110,335. That, after working with the comptroller, that is the number that you have to use to build this tax cap, not what actually the voters had approved and what you had levied and warranted. So that's where the tax error comes into play. So the tax base growth factor is 1.0052. You multiply that by your prior year's levy, is going to give you $8,152,508.70. There's no pilots for New Lebanon in the district, so that's a 0. You use your prior year's exemptions. Those are the capital expenditures that are allowed to be used on this, so that you subtract out, leaves you with an adjusted prior year levy of $7,659,607.70. Now you put in your allowable growth factor, or what they call CPI, Consumer Price Index. That is either the CPI or 2%. That's where the 2% tax cap law comes in. So it is a little bit misleading. We're not at 2%. We're only at 1.23%. So we're multiplying that by our adjusted prior year's levy. Leaves you with, gets us to $7,753,820.80. Now you use the capital exclusions for this year, which was only $387,190. So that gets plugged in so that your tax levy limit is $8,141,010. Okay, so that winds up being only 0.37% of an increase. So it's not the 2% that some people think that it's 2%. So our levy is far less than 2%. For a budget to pass, as long as you're staying within that maximum allowable levy, you need 50%. As we're going to see, we are asking the voters to override that tax cap number. In that case, you need 60%. You need a supermajority for that to pass. Couple of things that affect your school taxes and your bills. Two main components: assessments. So this is a segmented district. There's multiple townships that are in the New Lebanon Central School District. If a town decides to do a reeval or a reassessment, that can affect your bill. Also, the equalization rates. The preliminary equalization rates, Steventown has gone up to 100%. So last year, New Lebanon and Canaan were at 100%. They looked like they're staying at 100%. Steventown's is going up to 100%. So that'll have an impact on their tax bills. Looks as well as Chatham's is going down. So those are a couple of factors that can affect things. And now what that does is that determines each town's piece of the pie. So that's the levy gets divided up between all those taxing parcels. Completely out of the district's control. This is the part of the taxation that we have no control over. So the state and the local townships we're basically at the mercy of those. So if the Office of Real Property Tax decides to drop the equalization rate or raise the equalization rate, if a town goes to a reeval, that has an impact on what a person's tax bills are going to look like. We have no control over that. All we do is set the levy. It's just the pot of money that's set. How it gets divvied up is between how the towns come up with their assessments. So here is the budget breakdown. So again, a couple of times we've said that we all have set the budget at $12,122,588. So instruction is $4,667,795. Special education, $1,083,000. Benefits, $3,649,000. Technology, $154,000. General support, $762,000. Operations and maintenance, $917,000. Co-curriculars and athletics is at $156,000, almost $157,000. Transportation, it's one of them that went down quite a bit this year because we are not purchasing any buses. So that is down to $716,200. And again, when we don't purchase the buses, that's going to be a cut in aid for next year. So we'll have a reduction when we see our state aid runs next year, just to keep that in the back of your mind when you see those runs. Transportation aid will be down because we're not purchasing a bus. Debt service, $559,882. Capital project money will be going on to that. And interfund transfers, $55,000. So that's a transfer to special aid fund, and you'll also make a transfer into the cafeteria fund when you open up the school year. So our revenue summary. So here's a comparison of last year to this year. And you see a lot of red all the way over to the right-hand side of that chart. Your fund balance, total fund balance used for last year's budget, the budget that we're currently in, was $740,745. We have no fund balance to put into this year's budget. Local source, they used $560,300 $395. We're projecting local source only to be $287,000. State aid, when you pull out the pre-K money, it kind of looks flat. So we had a little over 3.2 million last year, about the same this year. Federal CARES Act money. So the Federal CARES Act money was used this year for an individual's salary, as well as some other ancillary supplies. That money has come in and is coming in. We received our first check that was used for this budget. That was $100,000. And the property tax, again, what we actually levied and collected was $8,110,335. So the grand total of this year's budget was $12,764,051. We are, again, projecting a decrease in budget of $641,000. So it's a significant decrease. We are looking at increasing the levy $486,620. So the three-part budget, which is a component that gets reported to the state as well as it's in the budget notices. This breaks it down by program, administrative, and capital. Program, as you can see, is at a little over 77% of the entire budget, which is a little over $9.3 million. The administrative component is at $1,305,510, or 10%, almost 11%. And capital is $1,453,392, or 12%. And here is our budget summary. So last year's budget, again, to repeat, was $12,764,051. This year, we're looking at a budget of $12,122,588. Again, that's a difference of a reduction in expenditures of $641,463, or just a touch over a 5% decrease in the budget expenditures. Again, looking at state aid and non-taxable revenue, you had $3,987,235 last year was built into the budget. This year, we're looking at $3,525,633. Again, that is a decrease. It's a significant decrease of $461,602, or 11.57% in that revenue. And again, a lion's share of that is the fund balance. So you used a lot of fund balance last year, and there's no fund balance being put into it as much this year. And your levy, again, your levy amount, $8,110,335 is what was levied out. So it was a reduction. Again, the voters last year approved an $8.492 million levy amount, and that is what you warranted in August, but the bills went out incorrectly. So this year, to recoup that, we are looking at a 6% increase, $8,596,955. So again, that increase of $100,000 is basically just the cost of doing business. That's with everything increasing, insurances, salaries, everything going up. So we're trying to get back the 8.492 plus $100,000. That's where it gets you to your 6%. This isn't a complete list, but this is a list of the significant budget reductions that needed to be taken to get to the budget figure that we're at. It's reducing out the full-time SRO. The assistant principal position was eliminated. There was one teaching assistant. Field trips were reduced. Supplies and equipment were heavily reduced. Business teacher, the 0.6 FTE business teacher is reduced, is gone. And BOCES professional development is cut out of the budget, and our bus mechanic hours were reduced for that position. And here is the tax levy, just kind of a brief tax levy history on this graph. So back in 2012, you were a little over $8.5 million in your levy. That stayed flat, so there was a zero increase in taxes through the 2016-2017 school year. So we had 5 years of a zero increase there. Nobody's taxes went up on that. And in 2017-18 school year, there was a reduction in taxes of a little over 1%. And that stayed consistent for 3 years. So we are now at 8 years without a increase in taxes. Last year would have been your first increase in taxes. The bills went out incorrectly, as I've stated. So there was almost a 4%, 4.5% decrease in the levy. So taxes went down again. So as you can see, you have 9 consecutive years of no tax increase for the New Lebanon Central School District. Any questions? Nothing? Okay. So if there's no questions, there are only one item on the budget vote that everyone will be voting for, and that is the budget itself. The spending for $12,122,588. There are 2 open seats, 3-year terms, unpaid. 2 official candidates running, Mr. Mike Brutch and Mr. Bill Buckenroth. And lastly, the budget vote and school board election are Tuesday, May 18th, 2021, and there is a change in venue from what has typically been. This year, the vote will be at the high school gymnasium from noon to 9 p.m.
Thank you, Mr. Riley. We appreciate it. So what I want to talk about, I'll wait till Kelly puts the presentation out and shares it with our viewers, is what could happen if our budget is not approved by over 60%. I'm going to pass this out to the board just so you can see the process. I am cautiously optimistic, but I want to be prepared just in case we need to be. Josh, do you have? Just try Xing out of it and redoing. Try Xing out of the whole thing and starting over. We have 7 minutes so we can start the board meeting anyway, so technical difficulties, just give us 1 minute. Josh, try unplugging the cord. See if that does it. Josh is filling in for Ethan, who took a vacation day today, so that's why Ethan's not here. So thank you, Mr. Noble. Still not reading it? Got it? Oh, I turned it off. You have to like do a dance to get it on. Where's the broom? I don't know. There we go. All right, thank you for your patience with that. Now you hit share, you need to present. There you go, thank you. All right, so the question is, what will happen if the budget doesn't pass? Like I said, I'm cautiously optimistic. We just ask our citizens and our community to come out and vote on the 18th. So go ahead to the next slide, Josh. So these are a couple procedures. Right after, if it doesn't pass, right after that, that vote on the 18th, we would call a special meeting of the Board of Education, probably either that Wednesday or Thursday, because we have some decisions to make. So the school district will have one last chance for a revote. At that meeting, the board will decide if they want to try a revote again at the 6% increase, or if we want to go a little bit lower, or whatever that number would be. After that, we would have a public hearing like we're having today. We have to do that 7 to 14 days prior to the revote. And then the revote would take place on June 15th. That's just like we have a date for this budget, there's a specific date for the revote from New York State. You can go to the next. Now, this will, of course, be up to the Board of Education, but these are potential reductions to the school budget if the budget vote is not passed. We would be looking at, most likely, again, it's up to the board, but we'd be looking at our athletics programs. We would look at that position we brought back for the PE teacher. Remember, that's going to be a 0.2 position, and then a 0.4 athletic duty position for a total of 0.6. Because if we reduce athletics, we would reduce that athletic director duty. We'd be looking at some additional after-school clubs and also some field trips. So these are huge hits for the district. This is what makes our district special, and this is what kids love. So touching this, is something none of us want to do. But if we go too deep into the academic, we're going to lose academic programs in our district. So these are possible reductions that we would be looking at if this budget does not pass. So I just wanted to share that with everyone, just to get everyone thinking about it, get the community thinking about it, and also to get the board thinking about it. Any questions on that? Okay, thank you.
Okay, assuming we're done with our public presentation. So I'll make a motion to close the public budget hearing.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, motion carries 6-0-0. On to item 3, acknowledge minutes, administrative comments. Subject A, Walter B. Howard update with Josh Noble.
Good evening, everyone. First, I want to thank all of our teachers in the district for all of their hard work, dedication, and creativity. And I've had the pleasure of being in both buildings, and I can say that, the teachers in our district are outstanding, and they come here and they work for and with our kids every single day. Without their commitment, we wouldn't be as successful as we are. And I truly believe that we're a hidden gem out here, and people should really take a serious look at what we're doing out here. Their love for our students has allowed our students to grow and thrive. They've provided structure in a time when uncertainty seems to be the norm. I cannot thank them enough for all that they do for the district each and every day. Our students participated in state testing for both math and ELA over the past weeks. We still have a few makeups to complete in math, but those should be completed by the end of the week. We're in the initial planning phases of our field day that will take place at the end of June. This year's field day will require a little extra time to plan as we continue to consider safety surrounding COVID. Unfortunately, parents won't be able to attend this year, but we hope to have our parents return next year. This Friday, I will be attending a free restorative practices conference virtually with our school psychologists. It's supposed to focus on our response during and after the pandemic in regards to how we handle student challenges and social emotional well-being. I look forward to seeing what the presenters have to offer on that. On May 13th, we're currently scheduled to have our kindergarten screening. It's always an exciting time here as we get to meet the future students here at WBH. Currently, we are scheduled to screen 30 students, and that's a nice solid number. Our next Tiger Jam is scheduled for Friday, May 21st. This month's theme is optimism. We're also pairing this with our Hawaiian dress-up day, which we think will add a little extra fun for our students and our teachers. I know that our secret hosts this month are super excited to be providing us their skill sets during this fun event. I hear about it all the time, all the things that they're doing and planning and ready to go. That's all I have. Thank you for your time.
Okay, moving on to subject B, the junior senior high school update. Matt Clefane.
Thanks. Good evening, everybody. As Josh said, it is Teacher Appreciation Week, and I could not be more proud of our group of professionals, especially with the work that they've done with our kids over the past year and a half. They really have risen to the occasion. They always are putting our students' interests at the forefront, and they continue to make me a proud administrator. Christine Newman is among those teachers, and she's on the agenda to be approved tonight for tenure. She has been an outstanding addition to our district, and I'm very excited to have her be a permanent fixture. At the moment, we are planning for graduation. I met with our salutatorian, our valedictorian, and our Student Board of Education representative a few weeks ago to discuss plans for graduation. I then convened the graduation committee consisting of both faculty and staff. We are moving forward with plans for an outdoor ceremony at Walter B. Howard, similar in nature to last year. We're looking to add a graduate processional this year, and we'll again have a parade of graduate vehicles en route to the high school, of which the community will be invited. The New Lebanon Valley Protective Association and neighboring fire districts have already confirmed that they'll be in attendance. Graduation will occur on Friday, June 25th at 6 p.m. The rain date is Saturday, June 26th at 10:30 a.m. The senior and junior class advisors are planning an end-of-the-year outdoor event on our grounds in place of a prom, which class members agreed was just too restrictive for the money that it was going to cost. A barbecue with fun activities such as a mechanical bull and yard games are in the works. As far as a Regents update, there are 3 students who have opted to sit for the exams. So we will be running a regular school week until the end of the year, culminating with a half-day field day event on June 24th, which is being planned by our physical education teachers. This past Monday, I held a faculty meeting, and a part of that meeting, I was asking teachers for the first time meeting in person to reflect on what has worked well this year and how they could amplify those things as they look to transition out of emergency education mode. And among the things that were shared with me at that faculty meeting were just how beneficial it was to be able to have virtual meetings with families. It's more respectful of their time and of their jobs, and we expect that we'll be continuing that both with our Committee on Special Education and 504 meetings, as well as our regular day-to-day parent-teacher conferences. And we think our families will be appreciative of that. They plan on using Google Classroom, and especially for short-term and extended illness, so that students who are out are very easily able to access their curriculum online. And also one of the things that we talked about is just what we've learned in terms of being flexible with our deadlines and in our grading. It's really important as educators that it's our job, we recognize that it's our job to help kids learn. And sometimes it doesn't matter when that happens, as long as it happens. And we're starting to adjust our grading practices to reflect that, because that really is a reflection of the growth mindset. That's what I have. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Moving on to subject C, the athletic update with Stephanie Luce.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank our coaches. They have been doing an excellent job navigating COVID and providing athletic seasons for our athletes. For the Fall 2 season, we were one of the few teams in the Washington League that were able to offer 2 levels of each sport and did not have a shutdown of any kind related to COVID. We were able to celebrate our senior athletes by having senior night celebrations. The spring sports season began on Monday, April 26th. We currently have modified and varsity levels for baseball, softball, and track. All of our games are this Friday, May 7th. The first games for softball and baseball will be held at New Lebanon Junior Senior High School. Modified softball will play most games at Berlin High School. Track will be held at Berlin High School. We have strong representation from New Lebanon with a total of 67 total athletes participating in spring sports. So that's a strong number. That's all I have to report tonight.
Was there an issue with the ball field? I thought I remember a couple of.
So the baseball field that is at the high school, there's a paved access road. I had the head umpire come out to look at it before scheduling games here. We currently have a tearaway, temporary fence in front of the access road just for safety. We are able to play on that field this season. It might look like home run derby a little bit, but next year, hopefully varsity will be on the Berlin baseball field. And I'm assuming modified would play at New Lebanon. It's more conducive for a modified baseball team than a varsity.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you. On the subject D, the business office, facilities and grounds update with Francis Riley presenting.
We are in the midst of closing out the capital project, this phase 1 of the capital project, and submitting the final cost reports to SED. Jersen Construction was in today looking at what they're going to need to finish out the grading and hydro seeding. So weather permitting, they should be in next week to take care of all of that. We had also a flooring contractor in for the WBH's gym floor. There was a bubble that formed in the floor. That has been repaired, but we're closely monitoring to make sure that there's no other imperfections or issues with that. We have some good news coming from the federal government as far as food service. So the reimbursement rate that was increased and has had a positive effect on our food service program will be extended through the 21-22 school year. So getting all the students back in next school year, this is going to have a significant impact on that program, and probably get it back. I would imagine get it back into the black and out of the red. Those reimbursable rates are quite significant. On the transportation front, we have 3 open drivers due to retirements for next year. We also have the mechanic position. We are posting in a variety of different venues for that. There's also to put out on the kind of out in the forefront here. So yesterday, I was informed that at Albany, our politicians are looking at some sort of a climate bill. And within the climate bill is a 55-cent per gallon gas tax. That would be crushing on all school districts, considering these vehicles get 6 to 8 miles to the gallon. Can't even imagine what that would do to transportation budgets. So hopefully wiser heads prevail with that nonsense. We are working on getting the baseball and softball fields prepared for the first game Friday. Again, Darcy Construction, I can't say enough how amazing they have been with their support for the district. Not only did they donate all of that infield mix for the softball field, but they allowed us just this week to use a roller to roll out any imperfections in our outfields and on the fields to make the footing much more secure and safer for the students. So again, our deepest gratitudes to Darcy Construction. They keep coming up big for the district. That's all I have tonight. Any questions?
Nope, all set. Okay, thank you. On subject E, superintendent update, Andrew Court.
Good evening. I also want to wish and thank our teachers and faculty and staff. March is Teacher Appreciation Month, or this week is Teacher Appreciation Week. But I just want our teachers and our faculty and staff to know that we appreciate them every single day. I hope they know we notice everything that they do, and we are incredibly grateful, especially during this really challenging year. I couldn't imagine, wanting to work with another group of people than the dedicated faculty and staff of New Lebanon. So a big thank you to each and every one of them. May 1st is also Principal Appreciation Day. I want to, again, just publicly thank our amazing principals. It's been a year, but together we've overcome and we'll continue to overcome. So I appreciate the 3 of you, and I'm thankful for the 3 of you, and I look forward to our continued work together just to continue to make this district the amazing place that it is. So thank you to our principals. Also, tomorrow is Nurses Appreciation Day. May has a lot of appreciation for school officials. It's a big month. Huge thank you to our school nurses. What they have been asked to do this year has just been unbelievable. None of us ever thought we would be teaching and living and educating and giving support to students during a pandemic. And our nurses have just stepped up, and they have just done amazing things. So a huge, big thank you to both of our nurses for everything that they do, and happy Nurses Appreciation Day tomorrow. So speaking of COVID, I want to thank our stakeholder group. We had a great group of parents, teachers, support staff, and administrators that took a look at the new guidance and the new updates from the Department of Health. So as everyone remembers, back in August, we put together a back to school plan during COVID. So we haven't had any guidance to update it. So what we've done is we looked at that guidance, we made some updates to our plan. And this committee and myself, we did it together. So a huge thank you to them. Just a couple updates. In the past, we had to have 12 feet away during PE, choir, and band. We were able to move that to 6 feet. We reformatted the plan just to make it a little bit user-friendly. One of the big options in there was that we could have went to 3 feet. The only thing in the elementary school is that kids would not be able to take off their masks for a snack or water break, which would be very hard. So we're keeping that 6 foot at the elementary school. At the junior, senior high school, in order to do the move to the 3 feet, you would have to cohort the group. it's really impossible to cohort the high school unless you take away that elective option. So the committee chose not to move to 3 feet as well at the high school. So we're going to keep it as is for now, for the rest of this year. This group is going to meet again in June, hopefully to make updates for the fall. Our goal is to have a plan in place for our families and for our teachers before we leave for the summer. But that all depends upon the guidance from the state. So we're hoping to get that guidance. We'll be having an advocacy night that I'm on the advocacy team to plan. It's going to be June 2nd virtually. It's going to be New Lebanon is going to be represented in this advocacy meeting. We're inviting the Commissioner of Education. East Greenbush is part of it and some other local districts, and we're advocating for more information about COVID for September. So we'll be talking to our legislatures about that. I'll send more information on that. We have our final planning meeting on Friday. I'll send out the link to our community to join. We're looking forward to talking to our legislators and the Commissioner of Education about COVID and what we're hoping to see for next year. Yesterday, we had a vaccination clinic. We were the first district in Columbia County to hold one in school. It was a great success. I want to thank the Department of Health. They sent about 4 nurses to come and give the vaccination shots. We had about 15 students who took advantage that were over 16 at the high school. Then we opened it up to the public. We had a bunch of parents, a bunch of community members that came in. We gave about, in about 2 hours, we gave about 42 vaccinations. So that's great. A lot of opportunities for vaccinations out there. If anyone ever has any questions, they can always reach out to me and we can help them get that. We're now talking about sooner than later, vaccinations will be open up to 12 years and up. They're going to be hoping to come back into the school when that happens. More details on that to see if any other students that are 12 and up would be interested in the vaccination. So more information to come on that. I want to talk a little bit about audits. So the comptroller's office, they choose different districts randomly to present audits. So we are in the process of 2 audits right now. From the 18-19 school year, we were audited on our budget website. It's called the Transparent and Financial Information on the website. Now, this audit should have been done already. I'm not sure why it wasn't. I'm thinking it had something to do with COVID, but they gave us a draft plan a couple months ago, and we have been really working and revamping our budget webpage. So if you go to the webpage and go to the budget page, you'll see it looks very different. It's reorganized. It's in really good shape. We added a lot of different things for transparency on there. We have one last meeting to put the final touches on it, and then we'll be sending out our action plan to the comptrollers. So again, this audit is from the 18-19 school year, but it wasn't completed, so we're finishing it up. Last week, we received another audit from and what they decided to do was to audit our IT department. So this was another audit from our comptrollers. We're just in the beginning phases of this. We've received a draft plan from the comptroller, but we're waiting for the final audit. Once we receive that final audit, we'll share it on our website. We'll be working on a yearly IT procedures and protocols for Ethan, who's in charge of our technology department, putting that in place to make sure all the recommendations they made are complete. After we have that action plan, we will submit that to the comptroller's office. So that is in process, and we'll continue to work through it. Want to just mention a little bit about preschool. So I want to talk to the board about it a little bit. My advice to the board is that we pursue the grant to apply for that $108,000 that we received through the federal funding. So you don't just get that automatically, you still have to apply for it. Now, the way to receive it is we would have to make our pre-K a full day pre-K, which I think is a benefit to our community to have a full day pre-K. What that would mean is right now we have a half-time pre-K teacher and a half-time TA. The half-time pre-K teacher, when she's done with preschool, is a special education teacher in the afternoon. And then our TA goes to work in other classrooms in our school. So if we made a full day pre-K, we would then have to hire a part-time special ed teacher to fill that role and a part-time TA. We would use that $108,000 to pay for those new positions. So it would be, we wouldn't make any money on it. It would work out exactly what we needed pretty much to maintain a full day program. So as long as there's no questions from the board, I'll pursue that grant. We have to apply for it. Um, That's a great question. So we're not sure about that yet. I'm going to a training on Monday, and I know, Francis, you said they're committing to 2 years? 3 years. So they're committing to 3 years. After that, there's a chance it could have to be self-funded. Yeah. I'm doing a training on Monday on it before I apply for the application. Francis went to a quick training the other day, and they were saying they can commit to 3 years, but you never know. You never know. But even if we can do 1 year, that's one group of kids at full day pre-K. That's my thought on it. If we don't use it, we lose it, right? We don't get that money back.
Is that state or federal?
That's federal. It's federal money.
And that has nothing to do with the outside firm we have in here doing, that's,
Correct. No, we no longer are partnering with that firm right now. I know Ms. Whitcomb talked about that, partnering with somebody.
Yeah.
From what I'm told, that you don't need a partner, we can do this ourselves. So I would rather do it ourselves. We have no strings attached. We can take ownership of it. So that would be my recommendation. Now, if I go through the process and they say, oh, you need a partner, then I'll reach out to a partner. But if we can do it without having a partner, that means it's our employees. We'll have full control over it. I would, I'm hesitant to use a partner if we don't have to, because you don't have control over the employees. That way they'll be our employees then. So that's my game plan. I have to go through the process, and I'll be updating the board as we go throughout it. Any questions on that or any hesitation about going forward on the full day pre-K? Okay.
that would be for just 4-year-olds?
It would be a 4-year-old program, correct, before kindergarten.
Because
Yeah.
the other program was 3 and 4-year-olds, right?
That's what they said they could possibly do.
But
Yeah.
that never came, we never did
That never
because of
came to
COVID?
fruition. Never
Because of
came to
COVID?
fruition because they would have had to have applied for that. And as far as I know, they didn't get it because they haven't come back to us. Then COVID hit and everything kind of went down. I know they lost a lot of funding for pre-K. Right now, before this came out, most school districts that got the funding were urban settings. So this funding coming out is more giving it to all school districts. Most school districts are receiving some sort of funding, which has never happened before with pre-K. So they were applying for that funding. They had to go through the grant process, and COVID hit. And then I know from what I heard, they stopped all programming and stopped giving more money for the pre-K program after COVID, not knowing what the budget was going to look like. So this is where we're at right now. But I'll get more information.
That was with the aftercare business, wasn't it?
Yeah. So they pulled out. They're no longer providing an after-school program starting this year. So we do not have a before-school program. They were having a hard time getting parents. I think we had, what was there at the beginning of the year? 1 or 2 kids, and they couldn't continue it. Then COVID came, and they decided that they weren't going to continue. There wasn't enough support. It was expensive, and I think people in the community had a hard time paying for that. They were used to the old program that was much less expensive, but to get a program coming in, that's the going rate. So, but parents have seemed to. We haven't been any complaints about not having one. People have seemed to adjust and have made arrangements. So there hasn't been much of a need for it, which is surprising. So that is where we're at on that. The last thing, I just want to congratulate, again, Christy Newman on getting approved for tenure this year. And also Rachel Johnson as well. She's a TA from Walter B, and she is being granted tenure in this meeting as well. All right, thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you. And congratulations to the tenured teachers. Okay, we're moving on to item 4, approval of minutes. I make a motion to approve action items A and B as written. Any questions or concerns? All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries 6-0-0. On to item 5, curriculum and instruction.
Make a motion to approve item 5A as written?
Okay, any questions or concerns? All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries 6-0-0. On to item 6, financial. Do that one?
Make a motion
motion to approve items 6A through 6E as written.
Second and for John. Any questions or concerns? All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries 600. Moving on to item 7, personnel.
I'll make a motion to approve action item 7A through K as written.
I'll second. Any questions or concerns?
I'd just like to make a comment on the one teacher that was tenured, online presentation she had, that was excellent.
Yeah, that was Christine Newman. It was fantastic, wasn't it? Yeah, we're excited to have her on our team.
Great. Good to hear. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries 600. On to item 8, superintendent. Subject A, May 18th budget vote reminder.
That's all I had. Just come out and vote.
Okay, registration, we should probably remind them how registration process, if they're not already registered, let's go to town hall.
Yep. So if anyone is needing to register or asking about an absentee ballot, they can call our board clerk, Kelly McGivern, at the district office, and she will give everyone the direction. Anything you want to say on that, Kelly?
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you. And item 9, board open discussion. Next Board of Education meeting is June 9th. Does anybody else have anything they care to discuss? Okay, moving on to item 10, proposed executive session. I make a motion to enter into executive session for the purpose of discussing the employment history of particular employees. All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries 600. I'll second. All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries 600. Thank you all for attending.